Now, let's look at this, the military philosophy that should be at play here and why, and the diplomatic options and why, all right? So we have a former Trump White House official who helped negotiate the Abraham Accords. And remember, these really matter, okay? Adam Boehler. Why? Because this is what Iran was triggered by with these accords. There was way too much peace coming in the Middle East for these pernicious punks. Now we have NewsNation's senior national security contributor, retired Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Newton. Gentlemen, thank you both. First of all, what we were just hearing about, do you guys agree with me that it would be nice if Congress did the job, if you're really going to have a military plan that isn't something that's just an immediate response to American interests and assets, that really that they should be on the same page and they should have a constitutional role in voting at least in a new AUMF. What is your take on that, Adam? I'll start with you.
I think that might be idealistic to have Congress vote to do what we need to do here. I do agree that there's some executive action that's needed. But I think at the end of the day, if you're actually declaring war, you would need Congress. But I don't think that's in the cards in the immediate.
I mean, they're still working off an AUMF from 2001, authorization for use of military force. Like we're in the same fight now that we were then. General, the idea of going after their assets, Operation Praying Mantis, which, again, people can look at online, do you believe that the risk to reward is worth it for America to start finding Iran's military assets that are part of this and hitting them?
Well, good evening, Chris. My thought on this is we've been at war with Iran, for, beyond just several months, probably for a number of years. Let's not kid ourselves, with the administration concerned about this, going into a wider conflict. We're already arrived at that point, certainly with 3 dead Americans, and our thoughts and prayers go to them. We've clearly seen today that freedom is not free. We have to go back and see that time and time again. There is a strategy, I'm sure, that's being formed right now at this very moment. U.S. Central Command is providing the president and his national security leadership team with a range of options that go from perhaps just single target strikes to all the way to perhaps even looking at targets inside Iran. That wouldn't surprise me. But what I would advocate for is a full range of U.S. national security in terms of economic sanctions. There's still room for that to grow, certainly diplomatic efforts. But on the military side, I would advise for perhaps a 5 to 7 day air campaign against a lot of the proxy forces that have been conducting these attacks. As you mentioned, 165 since October 17th. That we could go after, Quds forces that are both, proxy for Iran's paramilitary in Iraq and Syria and Yemen and so forth. So there's.
But see, they don't have a shortage, though, General. As you know, they don't have a shortage of desperate people with heads filled with desperate ideas who see their own lives as cheap to do their dirty work. So you got to stop them from motivating them in the first place. So let me bounce that idea to you, Adam. Your response to the idea of military attacks that are targeted, that is, this is going to be a finesse play on some level. But how do you stop Iran from thinking it can get away with this?
Chris, let me start with why this happened in the first place. And I liked how you mentioned the situation with Reagan. And I think there's a lot of similarity between Carter switching over to Reagan to make that example. And what does it really mean and why do we start this? It's a policy of appeasement. And you mentioned the Abraham Accords. And so when we negotiated the Abraham Accords, the whole point of it, and people think about Abraham Accords, they think about peace. But it was peace through strength. The real organizing factor of the Abraham Accords was organizing every moderate country against Iran. When this administration changed, we went back into JCPOA. We tried to do that. We tried to push and appease. That's not going to work. So I agree with the general. I agree with you. All options have to be on the table. You have Islamic Guard places we can attack. We need to be very forward here, because if you're not, you're just going to cause more and more attacks on our troops, and it's not okay.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.